Hello, this is Sarah Shoemaker. I'm going to be discussing my science unit plan as well as some of the lessons I'm hoping to do along with it. So this is for second grade, and my topic is landforms and bodies of water. So like hills, pond, ocean, creek, river, island, mountain, hills, I don't know if I said that, plains. Some other vocab would be like evidence and map, which I'll show you how that plays in towards the end. So my science lesson I got from this book. It's Smithsonian Science, and it's What Can Maps Tell Us About Land and Water on Earth? So I'm not going to do all the lessons in here, but I'm going to just kind of, my unit plan is like picking and choosing various lessons from here and kind of adapting it and making it my own. And my teacher said that was fine. And she said she can always go back and fill in the gaps. So like each lesson, it tells you how many class periods it will take. So like this one is called What is a Map? And it will take one class period, and then the vocabulary related to the lesson, which I think for you, this might be backwards, I can't tell. But it says evidence and map, which is why they're keywords. Sorry, I have a cough. I've had it for a couple months now. It is what it is. So some of the, I guess I'll go into maybe some of the standards that I'm going to try to use. So I'm going to be incorporating, obviously, science, ELA/writing, math. It's probably the only other areas, besides art, because that's what the project will be. So math, I have fluently add and subtract within 20 using mental strategies. For writing, recall and represent relevant information from experiences or gather information from provided sources to answer a question. Create a response to a text, author, theme, or personal experience. Identify real-life connections between words and their use. Use words for identification and description, making connections between words and their use. And then science, develop a model to represent the shapes and kinds of land and bodies of water in an area. Students will understand that maps are important. Okay, so I guess I'll just say it now. The end result of this project is I want the students to be able to make a map of the school grounds, not the full school grounds, because there's a primary school, a middle school, and a high school. I'm mostly going to focus on the primary school, I think. And I mean, there's not a lot of landforms, there's not a lot of water forms, but I think the project will focus more on the map making side. They will include the few landforms and water forms which are in the area around the school, which would be hills, pond. I think there's a creek in the trails, and there might be another little pond which is closer to the middle school, so we'll see if we'll get that in there. But then it will be also locations, like where is the playground located in relation to the school, the parking lots, there's a garden, and then the trails. So we'll have a discussion about where each of those would go on the map, and like we'll take a walk around the school like that. So students will understand that there are different land and water forms in our community, which will be around the school. Maps help give directions. Symbols can represent different objects and places, because we're going to discuss symbols and like the legend or key of the map, how the symbols represent different things. We'll discuss like how would we represent mountains on a map? How would you represent a pond on a map or an ocean on a map? Let's see. Knowledge and skills that they will acquire as a result of this unit would be what a map is, what a map can tell people, how to use symbols to represent different objects and places, how to describe the various land and water forms, because we're going to discuss each of them, give each I'm calling them vocabulary words: hills, evidence, map, ocean, all those. I'm going to refer to them as vocabulary words. And we will be giving them definitions. Let's see. Students will be able to create or draw a map, describe the differences between land and water forms, analyze and compare a photo to determine the type of land and water forms. So that one, the analyze and compare a photo, what I plan on doing is 2 different activities. So one will be a cut and glue. Well, they might both be cut and glue activities actually. But one of them will be split into 2 days because one will be landforms, one will be bodies of water. So the landforms, I will have different pictures of different landforms that we have already discussed about. And then a sheet that has boxes, and then it'll have like a word underneath like island, mountain, plains. So they'll have to cut the picture and glue it to the appropriate word. And then same thing for bodies of water. There will be like a pond. I actually already made it. I'm not done with it, but I can show you what I have. Hopefully you can, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. My computer screen is cracked. So I have boxes like that have island, mountain, hills, plains, and then bodies of water, ocean, river, pond, creek. And I might put a couple more. And then I think I'm gonna print the pictures in black and white. It depends on if my teacher says we can do it in color. If we can do it in color, that would be greater or better. So these are the landforms. I tried to make the pictures as clear as I could, finding them on Google. So plains, mountains, island, hills, river, ocean, creek, and pond. So there's that one. And then the other one, where was I going with that? Analyze and compare photos. Oh yes, okay. So in relation to the maps, I was planning on finding just random pictures online of a location that has an ocean near it or river and like, I don't know, like stuff like that, like different landforms or different water forms. And I'm going to draw a simple map to represent that. And again, it will be like probably a cut and glue kind of thing, where either they can glue the piece of paper together, so one side is a picture and the other side is a map, or I'll do like what I just showed you with the boxes where they have to, the picture will be there and they have to glue the map that represents that picture next to it. Still deciding on that. All right, let me go back to what else I need to talk about. Okay, so the lesson I have attached to my lesson, oh, that's not it, to my lesson plan. It's Land and Water Form Story. It's a real creative title, I know. So the standards I have for it are identify real life connections between words and their use. So that's going to be the vocabulary words. And then science, so that was ELA. Science would be develop a model to represent the shapes and kinds of land and bodies of water in an area. So what they're going to do is, I have a word bank. I will show you. I'm going to scroll down. I have a word bank and a spot for them to draw a picture, and then it's bigger than that. There's more writing lines than you can see at the moment, but so there's a few vocab words at the top, which they might change depending on what I decide we should talk about. But right now it's island, river, map, ocean, hill, mountain, evidence, and pond. So the students need to choose at least 3 vocab words from that word bank, and they need to write at least 3 sentences using those vocab words to create a story. It can be like a real life story, like they went to the ocean with their parents, or it can be a made up story, or it can be a mix of both. And then the teacher, me, and the teacher I'm with will come around and check their writing before they're able to draw the picture. Once they get starred, then they can move on to drawing their picture. They will use crayons or markers because I know they have that in their desks. I will also have maybe a clipboard or like a notebook with me as I'm walking around the classroom to take note of who needs to fix a lot of their writing or who needs a lot of extra help from the teachers. And so yes, so my materials will be, I need copies of the writing paper that I just showed you. I'm going to make my own example to share with the students. I'm going to put it under the projector and read it off. Well, I'm going to start by, so my intro to my lesson will be, I'm going to just put the picture I drew for my story under the projector, and I'm going to ask the students, what story do you think, wait, is that what I wrote? Sorry, hang on. What do you think is happening in this picture? What do you notice? What vocabulary words do you think were used in creating this story, like in relation to water and landforms? And then after discussing that, I'll flip it over and read them my story. And I'll go into discussing how they will choose at least three vocabulary words. And at least means they need to have 3 words, but they can do more of them if they want to. They need at least 3 sentences, which means they need 3 sentences, but they can do more if they want to tell their story. They need to have it checked before they can move on to drawing. So they need to raise their hand when they're ready to have it checked. Or if they have a question, I will be walking around the room as well as the teacher. So the students will have about 10 to 15 minutes to work on it. I don't think, probably more like 15 minutes. I don't think they'll need a lot of time. This might happen during ELA time, or it might happen during writing time. If it happens during ELA, then this is going to be one of their must-do activities, so they might not, I don't know, we'll see. They'll have other things that they have to work on. So this one might be like their first thing they need to get done before they can move on to something else. So to close it, after a majority of the class has finished writing their story and drawing, I'm going to have the option to share if they want to. They don't have to share if they don't want to, but I'm going to say I would like to have a few students share their stories and drawing with us. If we don't have time for that, then I will let the kids share their story with someone who's sitting near them by their desk. So my assessment is, like I said, I'll be walking around the paper, taking notes of students who needed extra help or needed to fix a lot of their writing, meaning things were misspelled, punctuation, or they didn't understand the vocab words. And then I also created a grading rubric. It looks like this. The main categories is vocabulary, so whether or not they used at least 3 vocab words. Sentences, if they wrote at least 3 sentences. Understanding of the vocabulary, so if the student used all 3 of their vocabulary words appropriately, so like it wouldn't be I drove my car to the top of the mountain or something like that, because I mean, yeah, but well, you know what I mean, like if it's appropriate for the word and it makes sense. And then the other category is picture. So the student drew a picture that accurately depicts their story, including the land and water forms, characters, and key details that they use in their story. So this is out of 12 points. And then I have a section at the bottom that says comments. So if I have comments from my piece of paper that I wrote down, then I could write them here, or if I really liked different things from their story. And at the end of the lesson, everyone who has finished, I will collect, and then if students did not get a chance to finish, they will most likely have a chance at the end of the day to finish. or the following morning for morning work. So the duration of the lesson, let me add that up, I don't know, would be, let's see, I did 5 to 10 minutes for me showing the picture in my example, so we'll say 10. Class discussion about what they're going to be doing is another 5 to 10, so that's 20, 35, 40 minutes. Between 35 and 45 minutes. I think that's pretty decent. Because their ELA writing kind of is a very, very long period of time before they have recess. So sometimes she has time to do social studies or science, and then other times she doesn't. It depends on how long the work takes. Meeting the needs of the students. I will have a sheet with the vocab words from that sheet written down with the definitions next to it. So if students would like a copy of it to have on their desks, then they can, so they can look at the definition of the words as they're writing their sentences. And I will also probably keep my example up on the board, but I don't want them to like copy my sentences and picture. Closing the unit, I discussed they're going to make a map of the school grounds. Yeah, after we learn all about the different land and water bodies, we'll be discussing about maps a little bit. Anything you learned or took away when creating this unit? So I haven't been in a public school before. I've only, honestly, at Hudson Valley, I was only in toddler and pre-K rooms. And then last semester I was in a kindergarten room at a private school. So I haven't been in a public school setting. And I was kind of scared just because of Common Core and like standards and stuff like that. But I kind of like having this as a guide, because this was nice being able to like create my lessons that is very similar to what's in this book, and it gave me a lot of good ideas. Something I forgot from the unit plan is they all have Play-Doh at their desks, so this might be one of their like must-do, may-do activities, probably a may-do, like they don't have to do it, but when they're done they can. They can use their Play-Doh. They have green, some students have green, some students have blue, so I'll have paper, and like for example, if they have green, then they will get a blue piece of paper, and they could create like an island on the paper, or they could create a pond, you know, put most of their green around. It'll be like a small little piece of paper. So that's, you know, something different than a worksheet for them to do. I think that's it. So I went over the various vocab: hills, ocean, pond, island, mountain, plain, map, evidence. There'll probably be more that comes up as we go along and I discuss it with them. Things that they should already know is punctuation, writing, alphabetic knowledge, put it in. I'm assuming that's for the lesson, but I'm not positive. And that's pretty much it. My goal is for them to be able to create a map of the school and incorporate the land and water body forms that are around the school campus. And then we can hang it up in the hall. And I feel like that would be fun. I'll probably create a checklist. And I guess I could use some advice on this. So a checklist of what to include on their map. Like we'll come up with this checklist as a group, like what on the school grounds should be included on this map. And I don't know if they should have the checklist while they're working on their map, or if I should give it to them when they're done so they can reflect on their work in that way. You know what I mean? I don't know. I could use some advice on that part. But yeah, that's pretty much my unit and lesson plan. One of my lesson plans. Is there any other sheets I can show you? Oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do for math. I have the different vocab words. They're gonna count each of the letters, write the number, and then down below they're going to choose numbers from above to create 5 number sentences. And yeah, so thank you for watching. I'm sorry this is so long. Yeah, have a good day.